You were 19 when the first Roots came out, and I was 19, and I watched them, and I remember the huge impact it had on people in Italy, all over the world. And now this retelling of the story is your way to retell a story that needs to be retold because people tend to forget.
True. Yeah.
So
It became an opportunity. I'm not a big fan of remakes.
Yeah.
I generally don't like them. And I was not very happy when I first heard that Roots was being redone. I thought, this is not a good idea.
I was with you.
But then I got a call from Mark Wolper, our executive producer, whose father produced the original miniseries Roots. Yeah? And Mark shared with me his story of showing the series to his children. And they watched, and they thought it was long, 12 hours. Yeah.
I remember.
And they thought that it looked dated, that it felt old, and it does, because it was storytelling that reflected the time in which it was made. Yeah? And his son at the end of the 12 hours said, Dad, I get it. I understand why Roots is important, but it's a lot like your music. It just doesn't speak to me. And I thought, when I heard that, I thought, oh, wow. There is a good reason to remake this. Because if you want the story to stay alive, you have to tell it to every generation.
It's true.
So it was time.
Yeah. And can you tell me something, Malachi, about your audition for this role? Did you read the part, or they just choose you on video?
No, so I had I had a number of...
We tortured him.
To prepare him for the role.
To put it lightly. I had a number of auditions. There was a space of about 5 months between my first audition and my second one. It was a long time of waiting. It was weird. I mean, my first audition, I felt like I completely messed up in many ways. I felt like it was just a very bad audition. I apologized to the casting director. That's how bad it was. And so...
That's how bad he felt it was. Difference. There is a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference.
And so when the 5 months went past, it was a period of like, no, okay, let me just put this behind me. I haven't got it. And I was like, they haven't said anything yet. They haven't cast anyone yet. Is there hope? Now let me just put it behind me and just, do you know what I mean? It was messing with my head a bit. And then eventually after 5 months, my agent calls me and he says, oh, okay, they want to see you again. And I was like, yeah, they do? Okay, so what, okay, cool. And so we go again. And the second audition was with Philip Noyce, the director of Night One. And I sat down with him, and I don't know if you've ever met him, but he can be an intimidating man. He's a large guy. He has a very strong presence, and I find him to be very honest. And so he kind of, I felt slightly interrogated at first in the audition, and he basically questioned me about, who I am and kind of just like where I was actually from, just kind of getting to know me. And then we went into it, and something amazing happened. I felt like, I don't know how else to describe it, except it felt like an out-of-body experience where everything that I had kind of planned to do in that audition, and I really planned this time because I was like, okay, that first one, in my perspective, meant I need to go in with this one. But all of that just went out the window and something else took over, and it was the first time I actually felt like I connected to him and I felt like I knew him, and it caused me to go off the script because I felt like those words weren't doing enough for what he was feeling. I felt like something else needed to come out of my mouth, and it just clicked. And then I went out to South Africa for a screen test, and I'd never had a screen test before, so I thought it was going to be like a 15-minute audition thing. And I was like, why are you flying me all the way to South Africa for 15 minutes? I didn't get it. I was like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, is it just going to be that? Are there other people going up for it? And I get out there, and we spent a day on it. I've never had a day, like an audition for that long in my life, and we got into I got into costume, we did the makeup, like we had a whole film crew, and we shot this like we were basically about to shoot the movie, and I got into his clothes and I was like, wow, like this is him, I put his shoes on and I put his clothes on and his jewelry, and I was like, okay, this is him, and it just elevated my understanding of him it's amazing when you have good costume, how it can just bring about character. And so that was a long day, and Philip decided he wanted to give me a song to sing. I don't know why. He hadn't ever heard me sing, but he was like, I want you to sing this song. I believe it will give you a better chance, basically. Now, this song was in Mandinkan. Didn't understand the language at that point. I didn't have a clue what this wonderful lady was singing, but I had about the space of 8 hours to learn it and sing it back. And I don't think of myself as a singer. So that was a challenge in itself. But I did. I sang, and eventually I heard back that I'd got the part.
If I remember well, at the beginning, it was sold by whites, and now this tribe war. Did you dig deeply in history, as you say, that is more accurate this way?
We did dig deep into the history that was really made possible by the success of the novel Roots and the original miniseries. Yeah, there's much more scholarship available now than there was in 1970 when Alex was doing the research. And so, yes, you know, Kunta's origin story is much more historically accurate. And the idea that there were Africans, people of color, who were also involved in that exchange. Although African slavery was different, it was you know, it was not chattel slavery. You would basically become a member of that family. It was different than the form of slavery that was going on in that triangle, right? From England to South America and Africa and back to the Americas. It was that was based solely on skin color. But there was, in fact, I mean, slavery has been around on this planet.
Nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's still going on.